Welcome to another episode of UEN's PDTV. I'm your host, Katie Blunt. Today we have traveled to Providence Hall High School, a charter school in Herriman, to start off a 2-episode series with library media specialist Mariah Gerlach. In this episode, Mariah will show us how she utilizes technology tools to teach information literacy skills and supports Catherine Jensen, an English language arts teacher, and her students with an in-depth research project.
Providence Hall High School has been here for 9 years. We're in Herriman, Utah. We started as an international baccalaureate school, but we're actually transitioning into a different kind of learning model now. We are a public charter school. I am the library media specialist. I've been here for 9 years since the school opened. I've been able to create this library, all of our books and materials that we use to enhance the classroom, as well as to foster a love of literature just overall with our students.
So part of what you do is collaborate with teachers to help them teach their curriculum. Tell me about the project that you're working on now with Catherine Jensen and her class.
Her students learn about social change and about motivating society to adopt a change for the better. So they do research on something that they are passionate about. It could be anything from the food that people eat, it could be from sports that they should play, or it could be a really big issue like racism or accepting others into society. And so they will do research on that topic that they choose and create a speech that they will give to an entire group.
Education Technology Competency number 4B focuses on digital citizenship and information literacy, specifically information fluency. Throughout this episode, we'll see how Mariah helps students to meaningfully interpret large amounts of complex information as they conduct online research, and to communicate and share their research across various media platforms. Mariah will also model and instruct students in the best practices for fair use, copyright protection, and creating original works. So let's talk a little bit more about these tools that you're teaching them, because there's a lot of information on the internet, and it can be challenging for them to sort through this vast amount of information and really zero into what's reliable, dependable. How do you do this? What tools do you teach them?
We do focus on Utah's online library. We're so grateful for that being provided to us. We have a few others that we use as well. We use JSTOR now and then. It just depends on the actual class and their needs. So for this project, I use Utah's online library. I use the Gale databases that have those articles on those hot topics that are social issues, so that our students can pretty easily find them. If they can't find anything in there, we will search the internet on some other areas so that they can find the information that they need.
And then it sounds like it's time for them to start using Scrible. How does Scrible help with the research process, and how do you teach it to them?
Scrible is so fantastic. It is such a unique tool that I'm just so glad has been given to us. Scrible allows the students to capture an article or any other bit of information from the web and save it into their own little library, if you will. They create their own little section. It's like having its own little notebook where, historically we could have written down all of our information, but they're keeping it all right there together, and all they have to do is push a button to save that source, and it'll save it accurately, just as they found it. And then from there, they can take notes right on those pages, they can make highlights right on those pages, and they can keep track of their information without getting it mixed up with all of their other classes. There's so many different things it can do, and it can keep track of different subjects that you create, different tags. It can also translate languages. It has so many features that I just do a little bit here and there with different classes, and so by the time my students graduate, they've seen a lot of it and they've done most of it. And then hopefully they'll just continue on learning about it it does a fantastic job in keeping track of all that information.
I think that's a really valuable tip for teachers who are looking to utilize this kind of tool. Sometimes we get overwhelmed, students get overwhelmed, parents get overwhelmed when there's so many options. And so I love that you said little by little, they're building up their capacity to utilize everything available in the tool.
Yeah, exactly. When we learn about Scribble, we see how much there is, and it can be overwhelming. And so I try to make sure I'm only doing a very brief overview for my students, just to not overwhelm them.
Well, another important part of information fluency is making sure that students understand fair use, copyright, that they're avoiding plagiarism. And how does Scribble help with that aspect of research?
Scribble is great because it keeps track of all that information. It helps them to understand where things came from without kind of misplacing their information. Sometimes when we're taking different notes, we might think we read something and we're going to use that piece, but we don't remember where it came from. It can be a complete accident to plagiarize something. But with Scribble, we can have our information right there together, and we can actually create that bibliography right there in the tool. We can put it all together.
It even generates citations in different formats, doesn't it?
It does, many, many formats.
Amazing. And actually, I know we've used like Citation Machine and Son of Citation Machine. Those are great tools too. But I love what you said about it is still all in one location for them in their Scribble library.
Exactly. All in one place.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, Mariah, thank you so much for letting us come to your class today and observe your expertise.
You're welcome. Thank you for coming.
And I can't wait to see what all of your students create to communicate what they have learned. So be sure to come back for our next episode of PDTV, where we will watch the students' speeches and really see them communicate all that they've learned from their research. Now that you have seen EdTech Competency 4B in action, consider how you can implement it into your own teaching. Start by diving into your core curriculum standards. Information fluency is important in any content area. It's a natural fit to teach it in context. Once you have determined an appropriate research project for your content area, prepare your students for research by teaching them research skills. How can they sort through all of the information available online to find credible and reliable resources? You can help guide your students to credible, high-quality, up-to-date resources. Utah's online school library is the perfect resource for student research. It contains multiple K-12 databases and tools that are accessible at school and at home. Finally, sign up for a class Scribble account. Scribble is licensed statewide, so all K-12 educators and students can have a free account. Teach your students to use all of the tools within Scribble to help them manage all of the information that they are gathering for their research project. Scribble tools can also help you teach your students how to properly cite their sources so that they can follow copyright laws and avoid plagiarism. Then keep track of your students' progress utilizing Scribble's assignments and metrics so that you can follow up and help students to continue to improve their research skills. And of course, tune in to our next PDTV episode where we will follow up with Mariah and Catherine and see what projects students are creating based on the research they conducted today. For even more ideas, resources, and tools to help you implement this EdTech competency, be sure to visit uen.org/PDTV and look for the teacher toolkit that accompanies this episode. Thanks for watching UEN's PDTV. For more professional development resources from UEN and to schedule a training, visit uen.org/development. We'll see you next time.